Hello, you are listening to the sultry sounds of the professional artist with Echo Chernik. And with me is my good friend Tony Steele, who I met at
Hi,
Origins Game Fair a good long time ago. I was in the artist, yeah, long time. What was that? 20 years ago, I think. 10
yeah,
years ago.
yeah, yeah. No, it was a while.
I don't even remember how I met you. I think I vaguely remember being dragged down to see your art and seeing this big smiling jovial face and the biggest beard I think I've ever seen. Just this mass amount
Resplendent.
of hair
I
and
know,
just this
right?
resplendent amount of beard and
That's
fantastic
me.
art and like jovial
Aw,
amounts of laughter. And you just kind of
yay.
you're just kind of unforgettable. I have to give you that.
Aw,
You're just kind of unforgettable.
yay. That's my job.
So yeah, I think that's very important in an artist to be memorable, and you, my dear friend Tony, are
Yeah.
memorable.
Yay.
so
Thank you.
yes,
I
tell
approve.
everybody about what you do, Tony.
I'm a professional illustrator. I've been doing that since over 20 years. But like 20 years in the kind of convention game industry, other adjutant industries as well. Um, I work for screen printers, um, all over the map. I do a lot of commercial art, commercial artist trained commercial art, and then just sort of branched out into doing um, games and illustrations. I'm an illustrator. I love, you know, pen and paper, pencil and paper. I mean, digital. My computer is just my tool that I plug in. I don't think of it as better and or worse. Um, as far as mediums go, and I just, I like drawing monsters.
Now your website is for those of you that are listening is
uh,
steelworks.crevado.com. CREVADO
yep,
dot com.
yep,
So
and that,
and
that
yeah,
pretty much
so
has the main breadth of what I do right now. Um, in terms of it's got a lot of my game art on it. It's got a lot of my recent forays into doing animation. Um, the whole, I run the gamut. Like I do everything. Pencil, ink, paper, paint, oil paint. I love doing that. Uh, you know, done stuff, shirt designs, packaging, games, you know, commissions. I'm all over the map.
I was telling people that it's really important to make other artist friends when you're taking your artistic
Mm,
journey and get to
yeah,
know other artists. And I met you like really early on in my artistic journey,
yeah,
and then I haven't
yeah.
seen you in like a really long time.
Been
I
a
mean, I
number of
haven't
years.
run into you. Yeah,
Well,
you kind of
because we
disappeared for a
Gen Con,
while.
Gen Con, yeah, Gen Con was like the one where we would mostly, but um, but not, uh, not as many as Gen Con, and so
You're breaking
okay,
up a little bit, so slow down talking a little bit. Your signal's a little weak,
oh,
I think.
sorry,
So yeah, I think we'd see you at
am I
Gen
on?
Con
Are
and
we good?
Origins a lot.
Yeah, yeah, and I haven't been to Gen Con since 2014, uh, just because they instituted a new jury system, and you know, after doing a show for almost 10 years, and then you're found wanting, and they had an idea for a look they wanted, and I wasn't part of that look, so like, okie doke,
Yeah,
I'll go to
yeah, I
other
did.
shows.
I used to do
Yeah,
Origins show, and then do Origins, which was in Ohio, and then we would do Gen
Yep.
Con after that. And then after we
Yeah.
moved out to Seattle, it didn't go with the way we would travel anymore. So I would see everybody I
Oh,
would see at
that's far.
Origins
That's a
over
far.
in yeah, I would see everyone in Origins that I would see at Gen Con anyway, so we stopped doing Origins because it was the same group. So I didn't end up doing Origins anymore. And then yeah, when
Yeah.
they switched it over so that they were doing
Yeah.
jury system, you didn't end up coming over to Gen Con anymore. So but yeah, you
Yeah.
said when
Yeah.
you were telling me that you when Gen Con sorry, when COVID hit or just around before COVID
Hmm.
hit, you took some time off to start doing something you've been wanting to do for a long time. But you didn't tell
I
anybody about
did.
it. You kept it secret.
I didn't. It was a big secret because I wanted to be able to kind of enjoy the process and what I was doing without too many expectations on how well I was doing. So in
A secret
2019, I kind
project.
of it was a secret project, and I'd originally planned on doing it earlier, but then the plague hit, and then they were like, "Yeah, we're not doing that yet. We got to figure out how things work." And I'm like, fair enough. But I did take a break from doing shows. I think the last show I did was 2018, where I was the artist guest of honor at Origins. And then I was just, I kind of took a break because I was getting burned out because it's a lot of work. Perhaps you understand, perhaps
It's
how
It's
much
hard
work.
doing shows. It's a lot of work. I remember one Gen Con, we were doing shows and at the end of the end of the Gen Con, we went into the ladies' room and there was a bunch of us ladies standing in there and we were just standing there and we were not talking to anybody. We
Mm,
just stood
mm,
there and didn't talk and it was fantastic. We didn't
yep.
have to tell anybody who we are, what we were selling, what we were doing. We just
Just
stood there and just didn't say a word. We're like, "Oh god, I
then,
don't wanna talk. I don't wanna talk to
yeah,
anybody."
yeah,
It was like,
yeah.
"No talking."
And that
And so 'cause
I feed off of the energy and the creative energy and all the people at shows and the people that want to come and talk. But that background sound eventually it's like wearing a lead helmet. And you want to go out to dinner afterwards, but you get back to your hotel room and it's quiet, which it hasn't been all day. And you're like, do I want to go out amongst the people again? And you're like, yeah, and then you're in a fight to whether you want to stay or eat. So,
oh, but you so do wanna go out. You so wanna go out. You really, really wanna
You
go
do
out.
because you want to detox, you want to de-stress and hang
Have
out
you
with
ever
all the like-minded weirdos.
have you ever gone back to your hotel room and you're so just to pick up something and you so wanna go out and just fallen asleep with your jacket on? You're like you
Yeah,
sit down for a sleep,
yes, as
you wake
a matter
up
of fact.
later and you got
Yes,
your coat on, and you're like, "Why am I still have my coat on?" And you're just like, "Oh god." You just stood everybody
yes,
up and you're still wearing your coat.
yeah, yeah,
It was
yeah.
so
And
bad.
and so and in light of that, the burnout was real. And I wanted to stop before I hated doing shows. And and it's important. Mental health is a big important thing, especially with everybody, but and speaking in the realm in the arena of artists and stuff, making sure that everything going on up here in your noodle is working as best for you as it may. Taking a bit of time off was the right thing to do. um and so I took a class from Don Bluth at Don Bluth University, uh, online. It was remote, but it was for an entire year, and I was learning traditional animation and learning basically flipping pages and making a little sketch, and then another sketch, but slightly the finger went, and that kind of thing. And I really enjoyed the process, and I just dove headfirst into it, and I issued I didn't tell anybody, and I was just like, nope, this is the target, this is what's going on. And my wife Kay was like, yep. She was like fielding and being the defense dome around me, and like, Tony is doing this thing and he has a space to do this thing and he's on it. And Don Bluth was, one of my idols growing up, from watching like Secret of Nim and playing Dragon's Lair and then all the other movies and stuff that he'd ever had involvement with. and to learn from him was really cool. And to be able to talk to him and have him critique my stuff every week was just, it really put coal back in the furnace for me. And it really made me want to do things. And it also, you're learning something new. It makes your brain happy. It's like, as you get older, like, you want to learn new stuff to keep the meat monkey in your skull, jumping. And so that's what I did. And I did that for an entire year. I got a lot out of it. And then I just did a 3-month course, just this last three, from March, April, May, for an advanced, like the alumni portion of the show, which they're going to keep doing. We were the experimental class, and we were learning things like special effects, which is its own weird breed of cat, and learning how to do water and fire and sword fights and stuff. And I did actually get to go in person at the beginning of the year to do an in-person class with him. So I actually got to, rub elbows with Don, and that was really nice to meet, just basically to express how much I got out of the class and how much I appreciate it. Was just cool. And I encourage anybody that can, there's somebody, if they're still breathing and they're still willing and you're not being a jerk about it, learn from them before all you can look at is a book or a film that they did, that you can't bounce an idea off of them or ask them about it or let them tell you stories about it, because there's a lot to be said for weighing in, getting elbow deep in something with the person involved. And so that was really cool. So I did that for a year.
And you didn't tell anybody
it.
you were doing it. Why didn't you tell anybody you were doing it?
I didn't, like, there's expectation. Like, it's like when you're trying to lose weight and people look at you every week and go, well, you don't look any thinner. And you have to hear that the entire bloody time. Same thing with this, where it's just like, hey, so how's that going? And it's like, I cannot answer this question in a meaningful way that will impart information to you. And that stresses me out. So I'm just not gonna. And I'm just gonna be like, just let me enjoy this. I really needed
No
that.
pressure.
And
No pressure.
no, and it was beautiful. It was magnificent. It was everything I'd hoped and more. So
That's awesome.
so yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So
Good gig.
see, somebody got told. See, can you see the comment?
I
Judy
did. I did.
said,
Like, there were super secret. That's my auntie. That's my auntie from Australia. She I told a couple people, because I kind of wanted people to be hip to it, and I kind of shared some things, but it was just because these were people at the moment that I kind of wanted, a bit of an opinion on something, because I can't work in a vacuum. I just,
yeah,
Kay got to see everything I was doing at all times, and so she knew.
Of course.
And
Your,
but
your
some,
inner circle gets to know.
yeah, and my auntie, who has always been really supportive of my art and everything, she had very kind things to say. And a lot of my convention buddies and stuff, for people that might go, it's like, here, I'm doing this thing, don't tell anyone, kind of thing. And so that was really nice. It was good. I liked it.
So if you get to meet, and study with somebody,
Mm,
that's still alive, like you're saying, if you get to
yeah,
study with someone that's still alive, rather than just read the books,
yeah,
after they're dead or not available, then you
yeah.
should just jump on the chance, right?
Absolutely, and buy stuff from people that are still alive. The dead artists don't need your money, but us live living artists, we would like to eat and have lights on, and gentle air conditioning, and gas in our assorted vehicles to drive to said work and do things. Groceries are cool. I don't care what anyone else says. Living artists, learn from living artists. You can learn stuff from dead artists, but only one way. So
Oh, the grocery thing. That reminds me, you were telling me about your contract. You were telling me about
oh,
your
right,
special contract
my,
clause. Yes, you should
my
share
banana
with
bread
as a
clause and
part
all
part of
crap.
the business of illustration that we talk about on this
Yeah,
channel. Tony has a very
yeah. You can
specific
literally put
clause that they put. Go ahead.
anything you want in your contracts, guys. It just, vary your expectation level for how you're gonna, if you're gonna get it or they're gonna agree to it. But I have a banana bread clause, and then amongst the cash, which is great, and I'm a fan of. I also make people that I do work for feed me, and I have one loaf of banana bread with or without nuts, homemade or store bought. I don't. There's no pressure there. You could literally go and buy a loaf of banana bread at the store and send it to me. Cool. But this way, no matter what, I get to eat. And just because banana bread happens to be my kryptonite, because I love it a lot. Um, and everybody has been really receptive to it. They get a weird look, but I still get a loaf of banana bread. And I think I've only ever had one person not fulfill the banana bread clause portion of the show, but everybody else, yep. And I still got some people that are like, "Oh crap, I owe you a loaf of banana bread," and I'm like, I won't say no. But
Is that the secret behind your beard? Maybe I haven't been asking for banana bread. Maybe I would have a luscious
I'm
beard if I asked for banana bread, right?
I don't have any empirical data quaff going on there and stuff. I think that would be quite cool. I look great in a beard.
Oh, I can't believe you asked for a loaf of banana bread in all your contracts and you actually
I
get
just
it.
and it's not I mean, like, I did work for an airbrush company, and I also asked for an airbrush along with the money, and they're like, "We got you," and so, I got, like, I mean, it's these guys. I'll show it off because I was showing it earlier. I did this for
Oh,
the
cool.
DeVilbiss Airbrush Company, and
Which is
this
a
is the air.
tin with a really
Yeah,
cool airbrush job on it for those of you that are
yeah,
listening on the
yeah,
radio and not on the
yeah, yeah,
YouTube channel.
yeah,
And if
and
you want to come over to the YouTube channel, it's Echo Chernik. So
yeah,
come,
please
subscribe on
do.
the YouTube channel.
But that's something they were bringing back. That airbrush, like DeVilbiss had created the dagger a while ago, and then they wanted to bring it back, so they asked me if I wanted to do the thing, and I created their logo uh, for the box, and I just made the tin, and I'm like, you can always add more things in the business of art. You can, because there's some things that people will think of as money is really tough for people. Money, that's like, there's a hard line made of spikes in some cases for people. But things like food and other sundries, and especially if it's something that a company makes already, they're going to be more likely to give you perhaps a little bit of a tithe in that area and stuff. And you just got to kind of feel them out for that. But, making money as an artist is good, but you can add incidentals that make your life better as well that people won't balk at. So, I mean, you say banana bread to someone, they're going to just be like, "A loaf of banana bread, how much is that?" Like, a farthing, groat, whatever, and so, you know
They don't
find
see
banana
that as
bread.
coming out of their pocket.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like money to them. It feels like a loaf of banana bread. It feels like an airbrush that they already make. It's like, it seems weird, but it makes sense, and it certainly gives you a way to get more benefit in life and out of the art that you produce. So, to put on the formal hat and everything.
Well, when I'm at a booth by myself at a convention and I need like an errand run or something, I'll be like, "Hey, I
Yeah,
need somebody to run an errand for me. I'll give you one of my art books if you go do this errand
yeah,
for me." It doesn't
absolutely.
feel like I'm paying somebody. I'm like, "Oh, here, just take this art book. Go do this errand for me."
Yeah,
And then to me, it
but it
doesn't feel
has
like I'm paying them. Well, I
right.
mean, I am technically. It's costing me to make the book, but it doesn't feel like
Mhm.
it to me. It's just,
No, but it
so
has
same thing.
value to them. They
Oh, it has a
value
lot
the
of value
art.
to them. They're thrilled.
Yeah, yeah,
You know? And
so
especially if I signed it, they're like, "What? Yeah."
yeah, the barter
So,
system is not uncool as long as everybody is equitably treated in the transaction. It's not like someone, "Here, take my arm." I just needed, whatever, that kind of thing. So it's, as long as everyone is happy with the end result and you don't hate each other, work something out.
Yeah, bartering wise with art, I barter all the time with art, and
Me
my
too.
daughter barters a lot too. And
Yeah.
usually we kind of just do it by whatever the other person feels is fair. It's usually
Hmm.
by sort of by even exchange of whatever the retail value is
Yeah.
generally. But if I'm doing it for, like, for instance, people come up and they have an item that they made. They're an artist and they made something, and they're like, "Oh, I
Yeah.
made this," and they're in the art show. Like, somebody made
Yeah. Yeah.
like a crown, and they wanted to barter with me, and they had this crown, and they were selling it for like $25, and they're like, I want to barter it with you for a piece of your art. And I had a print that was $30. I
Right.
didn't feel fair trading it for a $30 print, because to me that was like, I'm printing this out, and they made that. So
Right.
I had them take two things, like,
Right.
to make it fair. And they're like, that's 30 and this is 25. And I'm like, yeah, but you put like a lot of work into that, and this is a print. And
The
so
sweat equity has
I made
value.
yeah, so I upped it to make it more even, and they were like, rather than do by dollar. So, yeah, I just kind of
Nice.
feel it out, so
Yeah. Yeah.
um
Yeah.
as long as
No,
everybody's happy,
absolutely.
that's how it works. So,
I
um,
agree. I agree. And as long as, if it's something that needs receipts, maybe make sure you got for your records or whatever. And just, because the finances as a professional artist can be kind of a weird demon as well. So, just
yeah, you're supposed to pay
make
taxes
sure
on barter.
you're covered.
You are supposed to pay
Make sure
taxes
you're
on
covered with
barter.
a little note. Yep. Yep.
So, and I've had people come up with and offered to do barter on all kinds of things. So,
Yeah.
and which is great. I think it's fantastic. So,
Yep.
and
Yep.
I'm just reading the comments and posting some up. So, yeah. What else are you working on lately?
What else? Well, since I just finished the one class and stuff, now I've got a couple little animated vignettes in various states of production that I'm working on right now. Um, some of them I have the storyboards done. Some of them I've got the soundtrack put together, pieces done, and they're just like little tiny, they would be, it's not an epic, 2 hour long thing, though. I could be, I got a few things in my head that some days, maybe I'll roll out a film or two. But right now I've just got these little short little blips, little vignettes and stuff, and some scary ones, some funny ones. So I'm working on those. Now that my class is done, I've got a bunch of commissions that people have been waiting very patiently for. And so, but I did set a boundary. I told them, I'm like, you can't have anything until, I'm not going to start anything until after I'm done with my class and it gets done. And for the most part, everybody was good. We're good. I designed, what did I do? I did a car wrap for my friend, which was new and exciting. I'd never done a car wrap before.
Oh,
Um,
cool.
for my friend to sort of, do his business. So it was two sides and the back window, and we ran into some hiccups in terms of how the car, because I had a template for the car, it wasn't labeled as good, so there was like a trench running through part of the image for where the sliding door goes. And so that had to be readjusted. So that was a little bit of problem solving. I had to, I
What was the picture
ultimately
on
I
the car
left it
wrap?
to well, it's for my buddy Santa Tom, and also he is Santa. It's basically a Santa Claus and a deer all on the sides of the car, and then there's like the back of the sleigh is the back of the car with presents in the window
Oh,
and that sort of thing. Um, but it looks really good. The guys producing it were kind enough to do the adjustment and stuff, because they know more about this stuff than I do, and I was willing to just, okay, you if I need to help, I will help, but if you guys can manage. And so they managed to shift it around and make it look good. So go team them. Um, So, but the car wrap was interesting. I'm doing a color commission piece for someone right now. Um, I have a kid's book that's on deck with a friend, hoping to get that one going. And I'm also working on artwork for this Canadiana Fest that I did, made the mascots and stuff for last year, and and that turned out really nice. And she wanted me to do some more for her this year, so and that's fun. I like, and it's for my friend Shannon. For actually, I'm wearing the shirt. Let me tilt my camera down. You can kind of see Canadiana Fest.
Indiana
Bring your A
Fest,
game.
bring your A game.
Yeah,
A.
and that moose is the moose that I did for them. Um, and I did an anthropomorphic pot of poutine and a beaver with some beer because why not?
Not.
And this year I'm doing a little anthropomorphic butter tart. So because butter tarts Canadian and butter tarts are pretty good. So
So where do you get most of your work from?
um really it's been word of mouth. And this sort of leads back into our, talking to people and knowing people. And it's also a really hard thing for a lot of artists these days is to kind of connect with artists. Because I've got more work from somebody knowing somebody and just happening versus any kind of putting out an official portfolio call it. I get the game industry, uh, um you know actually the that I do work for, because they were printing DeVilbiss T-shirts, and the guy there was like, "Well, hey," I'm like, "Yes, yes, I do," and and that was really just being in the right place at the right time. So, hard work and ingenuity pay off, but sometimes dumb luck and just being the guy in the room that's breathing, that is not a zero number.
So just, just basically knowing people and talking to people and
Just and it's friends. It's like because we connect and stuff. Like I did the both Laz and I were working on the tattoo game at one point, and other friends and people at conventions I know, and then they'll be talking to their friends that work for a company or something and go, "I know a guy who does the thing," and if you're the person that does the thing and your friends know about it, and having that web of connectivity and stuff is really cool. And I understand that these days a lot of people feel like it's really tough to kind of just connect with people and cold call talk to people and like walk into a group of people and just kind of sit on the fringe and then maybe weigh in and perhaps get to know someone enough to where they can kind of be friends or acquaintances or peers or something like that. And it really is just go where the weirdos are.
yeah, I think it can be hard, I think. Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to be friends, to just go and, make friends, I think. I'm always a little bit shy hanging out with people sometimes, and,
Which
yeah,
I
you
would
have to
never
kinda
get.
go and
But
it's my
maybe it's just
face blindness. It's my
I
I have a hard
that
time recognizing people.
I can see that. I can see that.
You're
And that is
easy to recognize. It's the giant beard, so you're easy to recognize, but,
having an
it
identifier is good with our friend Scott with his bright red hair and big top hat and stuff. That probably makes it easier for you to recognize him at shows as
it
well.
is. It is.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
actually have a hard time hanging out with people, and I shy away from it because I am always afraid I'm not gonna recognize them because of the
Got
face
it.
because I have the face blindness thing, and I want to
Right.
hang out with people, but,
Right.
I'm always afraid they're gonna come up the next day and I'll be like, "Hi, I'm the artist." And they're like, "Yeah, we had dinner last night." And I'm like,
Yeah,
"Oh,
yeah.
geez,
Yeah.
awkward," because,
Yeah.
it's very hard for me to recognize people because I can't recognize their
Right.
faces. So,
right.
which is, socially awkward. Um,
And that's a whole extra. Like you got you're on hard mode there for
it's a
social.
hard mode thing, and
Yeah, yeah,
like, yeah, I think some artists struggle with being able to network like that, so
yeah,
they worry about being able to, have a social network where they can, make friends and to be able
yeah.
to get jobs from people if they're
Right,
shy or socially awkward. So
right,
I don't
right.
know. So I
Though,
guess like they can,
mhm.
I
Oh,
wonder
sorry.
how could they make friends and get a network like that? I guess online or
I think online, because that's the other thing, is that social interaction has really changed a lot over the last just 20 years since you and I started doing stuff, because people have, I feel, the same level of connectedness for people like they meet on Discord, or just even just messengers and stuff back and forth, Instagram, any of that stuff. They still feel that level, to them, that level of connectivity. It may not look like it to other people that are used to getting into the room and shaking hands in meet space, but I think it comes down to the same thing. And they're sharing images and art all the time. And I think the only thing that might be different is that they need to take a lot of that and shove it into an area where the people that can give them work, if they're looking, will see it. Because it's one thing to have your friends say you're awesome, and it's another thing to have someone that's going to throw you a dollar or two to also say you're awesome, which is that whole business
yeah.
portion. You know, I mean, like, like for just knowing someone, or knowing to know someone. I mean, like, here, I'll grab some of the stuff I have next to me here. Um, that one went down. Like when I did all the art for Here Kitty Kitty with
Oh, kitties.
Kristen McCardle and the fun folks at Fireside Games. Um, and that was because my friend Kristen came up with this game, and she said, I won't do it unless Tony does the art for it. And Kristen McCardle, where there you go, just so you know. um
He's holding up a game covered in kitties.
I am. It's all cats all the time, and it's a fun game, and everyone should buy it. And it has fun little cat minis. So even if you buy it, it's worth that just the loan to buy that game. And I don't make any money
Oh,
from
those look
sales. So
fantastic to step on in the middle of the night.
yeah,
Almost as fun
they've
as
got like
Legos.
they have Lego potential. I will give it that. Was that again was they Scott, my friend Scott, who does a lot of 3D stuff. I drew the art for those, the concepts. He made the 3D versions, and then they printed that up. And that was another, I know a guy who does this. And, she knew me. So I did the art for that. And that, was that slowly went up the chain. I did Unspeakable Words for Player of Entertainment, and that
Oh,
was,
cool. What are those? Are those cards? Unspeakable
yeah,
words, and
I did
they're
I did the cards.
oh, C is
And
for Cthulhu. T is
yep,
for what is T? What is T
Sasuga,
for?
Tatsuga, I believe, is the name. And then
Oh,
uh,
cool.
yeah, and then Haster and all that stuff. And I designed the box art, um, and all the cards in the game. Same with Here Kitty Kitty. I did all the game and that. And for Unspeakable Words, I was at Gen Con. We were talking about this a while ago, and I was looking around, and I was getting kind of, down, because everything, it all looked the same. It was, everybody was, making, it was the season of Drow, because it was all Drow elves, dark elves all the time. Same color palette, no matter what AD you were running into, what art director. It seemed like everybody was doing the same thing. And
Oh, in the art
I
show,
was at,
all the art looked the
yeah, I
same.
was in the art show. I'm looking around, and I'm like, and I have other stuff, because I do what I do. And I'm sitting there going, fine, maybe I'll just start doing, dark elves, and just do that and call it a day. Or maybe I'll just take it out and set it on fire in the parking lot and just go home, or whatever. It was really kind of
My
a
stuff
weird
doesn't look
tipping
like
point.
anybody else's.
and I just, you had that moment in that imposter-y kind of way, which everybody has at all times, apparently. And then the art director for Playroom at the time, Elisa Teague, came by my table and she's looking at my stuff and she goes, "Wow, your stuff is really different than anyone else's. Do you want to do a card game?" And I was like, "Why, yes, yes, I would like to do a card game. Thank you." And you like the stuff I do, and that's awesome. And that that was a tipping point. That was in 2009. So I'd been doing it for about 6 years at that point, I think. Yeah, about that. And so that kind of reeled me back in. And so,
It
I was
makes you
always,
feel better when she comes by and says, "Your stuff looks different than everyone
you
else's."
know, and that
In a
that
good
was
way,
really
as
nice.
opposed to you starting to cry. "I know, I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
yeah, it's
I know."
like, yeah, I know I'm weird. I'm not doing the same color palette as all these other guys, but and then apparently that's not what was wanted. And so I was, and it was good. That was like my first. I think that was probably like my first big game company gig at that time. So that was really nice. That was a nice little feather in my hat. And people were really, it was well received. And, even in, they rebooted it with art from John Kovalik. And John Kovalik is awesome. I like him. He's an awesome, cool kid. And, and it was funny because there was this silent war going on between people that were fans of the old art, my art, and the people that like John Kovalik. And it wasn't like Frankenstein rakes and pitchforks and torches and stuff, but there was definitely, I had a crew that were like, "Oh, only the original art," and I'm like, "Oh shucks, guys, you're making me blush through my beard." So that's nice. That's really nice when and that's why I love going to shows at the time, was I get to meet people that like my stuff. And they, a healthy boost in the ego is fine and healthy. And so that,
Yeah. Well, it goes to that right there goes to prove that you should just do your own art and, not worry about
absolutely,
what everyone else is doing.
yeah.
You
I mean,
know, I
unless
mean,
specifically like for us, for being commercial artists of old, there's a lot less autonomy. Being able to kind of weigh in and do your own thing is definitely cooler. But we can work within the realms of someone sitting on our back, go here, go there, make it look like this, do the thing. But that's commercial art, and you just have to accept. You're like, yes, yes, okay. They're ultimately they're in charge of the vision, kind of thing. I can certainly weigh in and add my stuff, but you know, and that
I think
depends
that's
too.
kind of
Depends
fun
on.
though, honestly. I think that's kind of a
I'm
fun
right.
challenge.
I like that too, because it's problem solving, and you want to try and see what you can get away with within the parameters, and maybe give them something that they hadn't thought of, that all of a sudden they get big stars in their eyes. They're like, "You're amazing." And they're like, "I know, right?" So
And it kind of forces you to grow as an artist too. I
it
like
does. It
being able
does.
to tackle new things, but
Yeah.
because you're like, you have to figure out the style and figure out how to
Yes.
grow and everything, but
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want to look like everybody else's art, because sometimes you
No.
go and you look at all the rows of Artist Alley and sometimes it all kind of blends together and you're like, whoa,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
you don't want to look like everyone else. You just don't try to copy everybody else in order to
No.
don't copy somebody else. Just do what you like. I mean, it's okay to be
No.
influenced by other people. That's
Sure.
fine.
Sure.
That's
Take bits and
great.
pieces of someone, and you go, I like, how would eyes work in that way, and you kind of you work
Oh
your own
yeah.
thing. I like I like just doing my own deal, and being my own guy. And and if I could just be handed gold bars for doing nonsense 24/7, you would find me not lacking in that area, and I would be a happy gerbil. But that's not where we live, really. And you kind of make peace with that, and you're like, because I do a lot of my stuff definitely on my own time, and even at the shirt shop when I'm working, if I have a down moment where I don't really have any work to do, I will reclaim some of my time and work on some pieces here and there. And it makes me a better artist. They get a better artist out of me in the long run, and I don't go insane.
Yep, definitely. Definitely. So,
Yeah.
so, so what else do you suggest for our upcoming and other artists to, you
Like,
know?
definitely talk to people. Don't feel weird about approaching people, especially at cons and even online and stuff. Just don't be a jerk about it. Um, I always try to be at shows. I always try to be the guy I wished I'd run into at shows, because going in, like, I ran into a lot of people that, they had a lot of "don't you know who I am" kind of thing, and that's not me. That's
Oh,
never me. Um, uh, but I always try and give people, as a bit of time, and look at their stuff, and give them a way to improve stuff. And like, if someone gives you a critique, it's coming from a place of help, and as long as they do it correctly, everyone that gives critiques, you have to do the critique sandwich. You have to do something positive, something they can work on, something positive, because that is a better framework than, well, this is all wrong, do it right. And that doesn't help. But definitely talk to people, because
yeah.
that's the only reason I got anywhere. Was I went to Gen Con, my very first Gen Con in 92 in Milwaukee, and I walked around and I was like seeing people tables doing art, and I was like, I want to do this. And then in 94, I had put together my first disc portfolio, which was a bunch of 8.5 by 11 photocopies from my sketchbooks of my best sketches, stapled in the corner with a cover sheet on the front with contact info and a short blurb. And I literally went around and I handed things to people, to their art directors and all that stuff. And I had some people that, they were like, and they give me a number to call later, or they do a thing, or just, you ghosted or whatever. But that was my first sort of push into that world. And then I started going to, like, local comic conventions. And for like a little bit, my wife and I ended up inking comic books for a small company for a short time. And they found me by they were calling around comic stores at 7 o'clock on a Friday night. And Kay and I just happened to be at our local comic store talking to the guy after he closed up. And the phone rings. The guy says, "Huh? What? Oh, sure. Well, there's a couple right here." And they handed us the thing, and we took our portfolios to go show them the next day. So again, just being stupidly lucky at a moment's when you were there. But it just, we were doing that, and we were going to shows, and that was the first company that sort of paid our way to a show once. Like, I'd never had that happen before. They bought our badges and a hotel room, and we're sitting there in their booth, and people are bringing us portfolios, and I'm like, why are you having me look at your portfolio? And I'm like, fuck it, just do this. Let's look. you
Wow.
know and then I did that for a little bit, and then I took a break at one point. Between then, I started back up in 2003, but in that break was when I ran into some suits behind tables that were, they didn't really have they had the more suit and tie, don't you know who we are? Your stuff is crap. I can send away to South America for four guys just like you, kind of thing. And that was not great. And that gave me a bit of a pause. And I just kind of like, let's see what we think about it. And then 2003 was like, let's get back into this. Let's go. Let's do this again. And that's when I started doing more of the game shows and the game art and the fantasy cons and all that stuff. And then that suddenly became a path that I enjoyed. And I met you, and I met all the other cool weirdos. And I don't regret a bit of it.
I love cool weirdos. They're my favorite people.
I know, right?
So I know, from when my kids were little, when people called them weird, I taught them to say thank you. So they
Thank
still
you.
do it from
Yeah.
this day. You know, when I said, if
You're,
anybody calls you weird, just say thank you. And they think they've actually
yeah.
thanked me for teasing them that. You know, I'm
And
like, if
I,
anybody says you're weird, say thank you. And they're like, okay.
and now they're doing art too, which is awesome, which I love that.
Yep.
And I can't believe they're
They
as old as
are.
they are because that's not fair.
So I know. Can you believe it? They're 19 and 22
No,
now.
no.
And
Isn't
people
it
call them
just
weird and they
90
say thank
something?
you. I yeah, you just when you met them, they were 4 and 6.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, no, I know, right?
Shut up.
How did
Stop
that
it.
happen?
uh, so
Oh
we're
gosh.
older art,
So,
older and wiser artists now.
yeah, well, it's our turn to share our wealth and knowledge and
I'm good with that. I will always do
stuff
that for
and
people. If you find me at a show and you want to talk to me about art, I am more than willing to talk to you. I'll look at your portfolios and I'll give you what I know or how much, whatever my opinion is worth and stuff. But just keep doing it because there's a wall you hit. Like if you work your day job and you want to come home and do art and it's just you can't get up on it, just do a little bit. Just do half an hour. Just draw between, like if you actually are on something that has a commercial, which depends. But just do half an hour. Because a little some is better than none. And if you keep drawing, your brain will remember that. There's like a little muscle memory up in your brain, and so it's just do something and get it in
it
front of
doesn't even
somebody
have to be
that
good. Even if it's not good, it's
no
okay.
no it's like lifting weights, just a little bit and you'll eventually you'll be just a giant huge machine of art destruction, and then that's cool too. So you know
Yeah. Preferably draw from life, that's even better if you can,
that's
draw your
helpful.
cat
Yes,
or
absolutely.
your dog.
Draw the land, draw your feet, draw. I mean, well, I suppose depending on what arena you're in, feet have a different value.
Ooh, draw towel, draw drapery, do drapery
Hey,
studies, do
draperies are awesome. Yeah, no, that's cool.
yeah.
Just do something, because it all helps. Because if you want to do this, you have to do it. It's okay to like the idea of having done it, but sweat equity is the coin of the realm at that point, at least amongst the people doing it. Dollars for your art is down the road, but the value that you put in your time and efforts and stuff certainly are something to note. you know
So
Pay
when people
attention.
say like, "Why are their panties hanging off your lamp?" You could be like, "Well, I was drawing them," and people go, "Really? I don't think so." You
Yep.
go, "No, no, really,
Nope.
I was drawing them." No,
I
really, I
you
was.
know
I was. Don't move them. You're gonna mess
it,
them up.
the,
I'm still
it's
drawing
the
them.
great sculpture, the great whatever, the big display, that sort of thing. It's like, can I put the car back together now? It's like, no, I'm not done drawing it yet, or that kind of thing. But you know just do it. Just keep creating and just go forth, because your stuff is good enough, or it can be good enough. But you just have to do it, and that can be a tough hill to get over sometimes. But step in the arena and like take a hit or two, and if it doesn't work, try something different or do it better next time. I don't know.
And you don't have to show your sketchbook to anybody.
Nope.
Don't make them show you. You don't have to share it with
Nope.
anyone. You
Nope.
just
Have a
draw in
secret
it and
sketchbook that's just for you, that no one will ever see. Do your thing. And it's like when I did the class for a year, I didn't tell anyone. It's like, you don't have to tell anyone about sketchbook. You can show them the public sketchbook and stuff, but you don't have to show anybody anything until you're ready to show them.
you could take all the
Just
good
stick with
pages out of the secret sketchbook and paste them into the public sketchbook and then be like, "Look, this is my good sketchbook." And you just leave
I,
all the
I
bad pages in the secret sketchbook.
I actually did that to another friend of mine, another person that I met at a show, who she was walking around being a attendee, and then she was showing her sketchbook kind of to people, and she showed it to me, and she had obviously the main sketchbook, but then she had another one, the secret one, and I was like, put that from the secret sketchbook into the professional sketchbook or portfolio, because that needs to go in there. And she came back later in the day and said she got a company to do some cards because of that piece. And I was just like,
see,
don't act like I don't know something.
Do a little rearranging. So, all right. So we're just about out of time. So is there any last tidbits of knowledge that you'd like to share? Words that can't be left unspoken?
Words that can't be left unsaid. Just do cool things, and people will know you doing cool things and will want to be part of cool thing. But do your stuff. Don't chase other people's stuff. Influenced by other people's stuff, but do your thing and what's important to you, because this ain't no dress rehearsal, kid. This is it. And what's good.
And how about your URLs, and share all your URLs and socials and all that?
My URL, www.steelworks.crevado.com is where most of my stuff lives at the moment. My email is Tony@Steele, STEELE-works.com. And I'm also on Kara. Kara is the sort of new anti-AI app that things are happening, and mine is kara.app /Testeele, TEHSTEELE. And on there, I'm trying to check that out and see where that's going. But the woman that's putting that together seems to have quite the drive, and seems to have it good for artists, and definitely not on AI. And we can talk about AI another time, as a thing. But yeah, I do work. I make monsters and a lot of nonsense, and some of these jokes are just for me.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us, and thank you for
having me on here. Awesome.
And hopefully you'll join us again sometime. And thank you, listeners. And thank you, listeners, for joining us. And we'll see you next week. And I'll leave on some parting knowledge that I have just gained as well, that you can't live without knowing. I have just apparently learned that in every single dictionary, every dictionary that's out there, the word incorrectly is apparently spelled incorrectly. So take care.
Dad jokes.